Hey everybody, what's up? So today I had a meeting at my son's school because last week they had called me and said that I had approached a kid, and that's the reason why they wanted to have the meeting with me. And for them to, tell me that if I have any questions or concerns, first of all, I don't have any questions or concerns. Second of all, I didn't approach a kid because at my son's school or just overall, I don't care about anybody else's kid but mine and my niece and nephews that are over there. But before all that, I had went to the teacher, had a meeting with her to discuss the fact that there's a group of kids that pick up my son, which technically bullying is physical, mentally, emotional, doesn't matter. If you're on a daily base having to, wake up and go, okay, well, I'm going to pick on this kid, keep picking on them, and my son being autistic, like, it's a big thing when it comes to an autistic family because they're an easy target, whether you want to think it or not, but they are because they're trying to learn how to function in this world, in this chaotic world that it's like you want to do everything you can to protect them and help them out throughout their lives so that way they can understand. So basically, okay, I did record the meeting and everything because, honestly, I want your guys' opinion, whether if I'm in the wrong or if I'm in the right, whatever. But having to go through this experience at my son's school, basically it came down to the point where you can't trust them because A, the teacher had lied, B, another teacher had lied, and C, the principal was just so focused on the fact that she was like, "You're angry," and I'm like, "Dude, no, I'm not angry. I'm passive aggressive because when it comes to certain things, yes, I will be." Passive, passive aggressive, whatever. But honestly, like my son's school, they're not professional because the secretary, had called me saying that, basically this meeting is about approaching a kid and if I have any concerns or questions. And so when I went to the meeting, I strictly told the principal that I'm sitting here dumbfounded, like I thought this was about me approaching a kid. And she was just like, "Oh, it's about everything, it's about that, but it's about everything." And it's like, okay. So I basically would want to hear your guys's comments, whatever. But please don't forget to like my video and subscribe me. So I will leave it up to you guys. Basically, schools cannot be trusted. Hopefully, you guys will sit and get a feel of, how your school is, your kids' school is. But honestly, it just amazes me that a teacher had the nerves to say that, I I approached this kid when and she said that I, asked permission to talk to this kid when it's like, no, first of all, I didn't. So I called her out on it. And it was so funny because after like I called her out on it, she wanted to leave the meeting because she was just kind of like, oh, and then she was kind of like nitpicking in in the the meeting, and I was just kind of like, whoa, like this teacher is way off. She's lying, which I kind of already had that in the back of my head. But schools really need to learn to look at things at all different sides, at all, like in any situation, instead of coming down to it like, oh my gosh, she was this, and so I'm gonna lie about it and put in a little bit of this. And so if you guys can just give me your opinion, your comments. Like, that would be great. I am sorry for, not having to record as much. A lot of, like I said, a lot of things has happened in my life. I'm pretty sure I said this, but just in case. Basically, my mom had passed away, so I just been kind of like out, just, just being with my family and everything. And my fiance, husband, whatever you guys want to, he's been there, just, supporting me. And so I thank him so much for just being there for me, especially for this day, because it just, it opens my eyes that, he can, like, tell me straight up, like, this school and that teacher, they cannot be trusted. So you just have to be careful about what you do and say, and this and that, because they will take your words and turn it to a whole different thing, like it's something that has to do with you, kind of thing, but whatever. So I'll let you guys leave your opinion, and just, watch the video and tell me how it is.
To get to class, but come on in. You want to scoot in there? I know it's crowded.
I don't like being in the corner.
Sorry, our office smells a little funny because there was food from a meeting in the fridge. This way. Okay, well, we won't take too much of your time. Just wanted to thank you for coming in. I know that at some point, was it last week, I guess, there was an issue where maybe you checked in with the office and said, hey, I need to have a meeting with Mrs. Thaxter.
Mm-hmm.
That was just you, Mom, right?
Yeah.
Not, okay. So, Miss Christine always says we have to give the teachers advance notice. So I know that next morning, then you came back.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously I want to hear what your concerns are, but I also want to talk about the level of frustration and anger you had when you came onto campus, right?
No, I did not have frustration or anger. Well, not like anger. I will get down to the point where I'm like, okay, I need to know. Okay, that is not anger. It's just being straightforward, being whatever you want to call it, passive aggressive, whatever you want to call it. But it was just me having a conversation with her, asking her what steps are you going to take with these kids bullying my son, because it's been like an ongoing thing every day that when my son comes home and stuff, and I'm having to ask him, how was school and this and that, and he's telling me that basically these kids are cussing at him, saying stuff, to him, and, my nephew and stuff like that, and, kicking my nephew and whatever. But the fact that, like, they're autistic. My son is autistic. Okay, so he's an easy target because he doesn't understand. He's trying to learn how the world works. And so how I'm talking to you right now is the same way how I'm talking to her. So, I mean, that's just me. I'm sorry if you guys want to take my personality wrong, whatever, but
I don't think we're taking anything wrong. It's just
Okay.
really important that when you come onto campus, if there's something you want to talk about, certainly we could have a meeting in the office.
Okay.
If the time to meet is whatever that is, you come on a little later. Kids are now gathered outside. She's outside.
Okay. Well, I didn't know
Student
that.
you're frustrated with is there, which, we talked yesterday, and she said that you had asked, do I have permission to talk to this child? Moving forward.
No, wait, hang on. I did not, no. So you guys need to
Okay,
get
so
your
tell me
facts right.
what happened then.
No, I did not ask for permission.
So you
she
just talked
gave
to
me permission.
Okay.
And really, honestly, I thought this meeting was about me approaching a kid when we're obviously not talking about that.
So I want to talk about a few things, but
Okay.
yes, I want to
So,
hear your concerns
okay.
too. It's more
Well,
than
I don't
one
have
thing.
any concerns. I just, like, I'm sitting here dumbfounded, like, you know what I mean? But the fact that I did not ask for permission,
Okay.
and which I, thought
So
that
she
you would
gave you permission. Sorry, she gave you
Yeah.
permission to talk to this child, right?
Yeah.
Okay. So
And
in the
so
future,
that's-
just like with Keone, we would never have Keone have to talk to someone else's parent
Okay,
because
but
that parent was upset
That's where
with
you
them.
guys need to understand. I did not know that.
Okay.
Okay,
That's fine.
so that's where,
That's why we're having this meeting, though. I just want to
Yeah.
let you know that
Yeah,
that's
no,
probably not a good idea.
Yeah.
the anger part was partially from Mrs. Thaxter saying, she seemed very upset. Another teacher who saw this happening reported it to the office, not me, to the vice principal, and said, there was a mom who was,
Yeah.
talking to a student in a very firm way. He was kind of backed up, like, what's going on? And so I just want to make sure that we're all on the same page when something occurs on campus or you have an issue. And I said, well, was she upset about something going on with her son or this other family, right? And so I wasn't completely clear on that. And then there were a couple statements made. There was a statement about if they commit suicide, that's on you.
Yes.
Right? So in front of kids, and I think...
Oh, wait, that wasn't in front of kids.
No, she's saying that from you.
Yes.
That you made the comment basically stating that, which in your sense, you're making a comment, but what they're saying is that it was overheard maybe by students or in the future it could be heard by students.
Okay, but I would never
No.
Okay.
She's saying that the statement was made like, by bullying, this could commit, kids could commit suicide is basically what they're saying.
Yeah, and that's just a concern because.
Yeah, concern. Yeah.
Sure, of course. So let me tell you what I told another parent about this group of boys. Your son, like you've shared, has some special needs. We've got a group of 5th grade kids who also have a variety of needs. Also, some IEPs. They're on an IEP. We have some on 504s for health things, and then we have some on like behavioral plans. Okay,
they're not my problem though.
I understand, but what I'm telling you is, we've been working with that group. I want you to know that your son isn't being... Bullying is when you're targeting one student over. We're working with these kids. I don't want you to feel like your son's the only one being targeted, or this nephew that you're talking, which I'm assuming is the Davis family.
Yes.
Is being targeted, and that's what I shared with them as well. These are kids who don't always do the right things to everybody. So they're having consequences. We're working with them on that. But I don't want you to feel like it's just your son because of maybe his needs or he's a target. These are kids who do this all the time. Before you were here, and it's something we continue to work on with these kids. They have had consequences, including suspensions and things like that. So, it's something we're working on, but I don't think you should fear that it's just your son. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, well, I mean, he's the only one that I'm worried about.
I understand that, but there's a different bullying targeted to one person and he's being picked on because of his need versus these kids are being jerks to people and we're trying to work on their behavior and we're putting them on plans and having consequences. Those are a little bit different. Not to say that we're not going to do something about it or look out for it or make sure. But the bullying word is very specific to some behaviors that are very targeted and ongoing to specific kids. Kids not making good choices and us maybe not having the support of their parents to help us have some consequences moving forward is something we're just continuing to face and work on.
I'm still thinking about our conversation, and I'm still a little bit confused because you're adamant that Keone is being bothered every day. And yet when we brought him into the room and asked him to try to give us some examples, the only thing he could think of was the previous month at his table, another boy was looking at his screen.
He's put on the spot. He's autistic. He's not going to come right at you just like me or you would.
Like
when
I have
somebody
to work
directly
with him.
asks you a question, I'm a stepfather, so I have the same issues. If there's something that I've seen him do and then I call him on it,
Right.
it's blanked out. Like it never even happened.
Okay.
So we have to revisit it in a tone and a manner of, hey, Keone, remember when you were at the table? Like you'd have to go through the motion. So it's just part of being autistic.
So how am I to know when he's being bothered if he doesn't tell me? If he doesn't communicate any of that?
So moving forward, since that conversation took place, the bullying stopped. The kid has now I think they've become more acquainted, more based.
I wouldn't say that. It was just he more left him alone.
Well, he left him alone, I guess. But there hasn't been any other occurrences since then. So I'm not sure if there was a move or the apology that was said was felt, or whatever the conversation may have been that day. I mean, it seems like it worked as far as whatever was going on.
So moving, I can't say that something won't happen.
Right.
We can work on these kids, have consequences as much as possible, but at some point we can only issue a consequence, react, deal with something when it happens.
Right.
And these are 5th graders, and so like I said, this group of people we're talking about don't always make the best decisions. We have worked with them extensively to try and
I know a lot of it
put
comes
things
from.
in place.
I know a lot of it comes from home too, and we don't know how some of these kids are living.
Absolutely.
What's going on with the parents, what they're saying. So I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I just, I think she's feeling like she's being targeted, because she came on to address a situation that she feels serious, and it just, I guess the way the phone call came over, the phone is. Oh, hey, we have to have a meeting because you came on campus to target a kid, and it's just like that's
No,
the
I'm
communication's
sorry.
all wrong.
People need to start wording things, the right way instead of saying, "Hey."
It would have been better if we need to have a meeting.
Because you approached a kid. Okay,
Yeah.
well, I
Well,
don't
a lot
approach
of
kids
times-
because I don't care anybody
Sure.
but my kids and my niece and nephew, and so that's where it's like.
So, I apologize for
unless
that.
you guys want to say, okay, well, you were acquainted to a kid and that's why we're bringing you in, then I'd be like, okay, I understand. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but
because,
to call me and be like, oh, you approached
have
a
her
kid,
all
came on
flustered.
campus, and I'm
Yeah.
like, what the heck?
Yeah,
Like,
we're
so-
all flustered about this whole
let
situation.
me just be clear and say, what I asked her to do was to call and say, I'd like to address the concerns, because unfortunately I didn't have time to call and get on the phone right then, so I thought it would be better to meet face to face.
I overheard
When
the
we
conversation.
call and say we're gonna have,
It didn't come off like that.
Yeah.
when we call and say that we're gonna have a meeting, parents are always like, what is this about, right? So I have to give some direction in what that might be about.
Right.
One was, let's hear your concern, because it sounds like you were pretty angry. That's whether it's our perception or yours. I'm going to call that angry based on 2 teachers reporting that you seemed angry. Okay, so I wanted to address what is it that we're so angry about, and then why is this happening on campus, because that concerns me as well. If other teachers are seeing it and being concerned who aren't even involved and saying, I saw something going on the other morning that was concerning to me. I'm going to address it. That's just where it is. I apologize if the phone call seemed like,
It was straightforward, and there was a little bit of mix in there.
okay.
I overheard it. I kind of was blown away about it myself. I mean, it could have been more professionally stated in a sense to where I don't have to deal with, all that other extra stuff, because it was like extra on top of extra. It could have just been, hey, we need to have a meeting. We need to try, kind of get down to the basis of what's going on here. And it would have been a lot better. But so since that phone call to this morning, you in a sense, when there's a communication that's sent that way, then you're going to have somebody come in and they're going to be on the defensive. Nobody needs to be on the defensive here.
Yeah.
This is we're all adults here.
Yeah.
This is a classic meeting, right?
Of course.
We don't want to have a
Right.
back and forth, and nobody needs to be agitated, right? It's too early in the morning.
No, I understand. I just, by saying, please come in to talk about what your concern was, and then to address, the anger that was going on campus. That's fair, right?
Yeah, that would have been that would have been
and
more
maybe
realistic.
anger is not the right word, but you were very agitated when you walked in. You came blasting, talking so fast I couldn't get a word in about how upset you were, and you were so sick and tired of the bullying and that it had to stop, that your daughter had suffered with all of this, that again you said that these kids, because they're autistic and all these troubles, and that if one of them commits suicide, it is on me, and that you didn't want to have to deal with this on your birthday, and you were just.
Yeah, she was.
And I'm going, whoa, where's
It's
this
my
coming
birthday.
from?
She's a human
But
being.
I know, but because it was.
But we have to address that. We can't
Right.
have that going down on campus
No, no,
with
no.
kids and teachers.
The kids are
And
probably.
there's a place for that.
No, I
right?
understand. I
Yeah.
understand that.
So maybe angry wasn't the right word.
Yeah,
but you
no.
definitely
You
weren't.
can say whatever, passive aggressive,
Yeah,
whatever,
she's-
but I mean, it's just me.
She
I-
was she was
Okay, but so that
she was
you,
fed up.
but
She was
that's how
fed
it
up
came
with it.
across.
Yeah,
Okay,
she
but
was,
it's inappropriate to come on campus at that level,
that's
right? Like,
and that's understandable.
Okay.
That's so moving forward here. I think what we're trying to understand here is that if she has an issue,
Yeah.
then what you would like is for it to be addressed behind closed doors.
sure,
That's what
like
I'm
just
getting
call
out of
the
this.
office and say, look, I'm really feeling frustrated with this. I really want to have a meeting with Mrs. Thaxter or
There
Mrs.
you
Probst, whoever.
Yeah.
And I mean, I do this. I have meetings every day of concerns or whatever they are, good things and things that aren't going so well. And so we are happy to do that. We are here for you. We're glad you're here.
That's
We
fair.
just want to communicate,
That's
right?
fair.
Like we don't want anything to just boil over. And
Right.
I was a little like, well, this wasn't about. Is this about her son or someone else? So there was some confusion on what all went down because, like she said, there was so much information so fast. She was just like, I don't even know what really happened, right?
Where to begin?
Um,
Unfortunately, I've got to get to class.
yeah.
Is
So,
there
is there anything else that other than we'll
because I've got to leave.
okay.
Okay, I'm so sorry, but
No, I think it's.
20 little kids are lined up at my
Yeah,
door.
I think it's good.
Right,
That's, I
have a
mean,
great day. Okay, so if there's anything else though that you want to look out for, you're concerned about, other than Keone, certainly this group of kids we're working with to address some behaviors. I'm glad to hear that it has kind of subsided. It doesn't mean one thing won't happen again,
right.
but we want to make sure we're communicating if something goes on moving forward. And like you said, sometimes he can articulate what happened or what is bothering him, and then sometimes it's blank. And so we want to pay close attention to when things do happen and,
Yeah, I mean,
how to
if-
resolve those things.
I think really honestly that if there was more study being done, when it comes to autistic kids, people would get more of a development of what is actually going on, because like I said, right on the spot, you're not going to get all the information. It may happen, it may not happen. It's just it's here or there.
Mhm.
So, and not only that, but a lot of this could go for long periods of time. And then enough is enough. And then finally, it's like those emotions. I'm a human being. Now I'm going to start speaking. When that happens, then we have to pay close attention to it, because now it's like, okay, this could be going on for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a month.
Yeah. No, it's
Yes,
important.
And
Yeah.
so,
It's important to communicate, from all the way from, Keone to you to me to, we have to see what's going on. There's obviously people out on yard duty during recess times. When I talked to a couple of the other kids involved, they just said, oh, well, we're on the swings and we're doing this, and, someone else is looking at us or talking. And when I got down to the bottom of it, there really weren't a lot of incidents, like as Mrs. Thaxter said, that the kids could say were going on. And so, I think what needs to be understood, that as a school, we can only deal with what we know about. We can only deal with what we're told, right? And so, as soon as that happens, we want to be able to address it, which is one of the reasons I called you down here this morning. What have you heard from Keone? What should I be looking out for? What's going on? What do we need to alert the yard duty staff to? Obviously, in the classroom, Mrs. Thaxter can address that. But in common areas like hallway, cafeteria, playground, it's important that we are paying close attention to anything that you're hearing from your son.
yeah, it was pretty much that kid, I believe, is where he was having a hard time.
Mhm.
Along with another, boy as well, being
Yeah.
kicked. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think any of this stuff is being made up.
Right. So.
Not especially from. I mean,
I don't think it's being made up.
Yeah.
I'm not contending that it's being made up, but I think in the classroom, I don't think they're being targeted because they're kicked under the table by somebody. That's a whole different thing, right?
Right.
Like true bullying is something way different.
well,
Just so you know, this kid probably kicked all the people last year before your kids were here,
Right.
right? Like, I mean, it's a child who lacks self-control
right.
and has some needs that we're trying to deal with as
What
well.
we were told is that he had a group. He's like egging on a group of other kids
Okay,
to
so
be
that's something
part
to look
of.
out for.
Yeah, to be part of this thing where we're gonna target the kid with the purple hair, and we're gonna target Keone, and we're gonna target who knows, maybe I'm sure other kids. We just didn't get other names. I don't want to leave anybody else out.
Sure.
Because when you're being that center of
Yeah.
attention, and you want everybody else to follow you, and let's gang up because this
Sure.
is because we're cool in school. That's not being cool in school.
Sure.
we all know that. But yeah,
And
that's
typically we haven't had that kind of problem. We have kids who lack self-control who go and do something really dumb, right? But they're not looking to target anyone or gang up on anyone.
right.
When I talked to the other kids who were involved, with your son, and he just kind of said, well, no, they never really did anything, but we thought that's probably what they were going to do. So I had to be very clear with that child too. Let's make sure that because of what happened at your previous school, and you're upset about that, and you have some anxiety around that. Let's make sure that you're living in the moment and you're enjoying your recess, and you're not thinking, because this has happened to me, this is going to happen, right?
And that's pretty scary.
So we tried to explain that. Yeah.
It's pretty scary. I mean, schools have changed since I'm sure
I know.
become completely different
doing
from
this
when
a
I
long
was.
time,
Yeah,
yes.
it's completely different from when I was going to school.
Yeah.
And so
So I just want to make sure that there are some things associated with this group with your son where there are some concerns that kids are going to do stuff that they actually haven't even done. Just a little bit of anxiety associated with that of this could happen because it happened to me before. And so I want to deal with what is and not so much. And I really redirected those children. Make sure you're enjoying your recess, and you're keep distance between the kids that you don't want to hang out with, and make sure that you're not worried about what could happen or you think they're doing.
yeah,
Go play, go have fun.
right.
Don't let your anxiety keep you from enjoying the time that you get to be outside and have recess and do those things. And that's hard. That's something kids have to work through if they've been through anything at all.
Right.
That previously that's been an issue, but
So far so good as far as since that conversation took place.
Yeah, good.
Unfortunately, it happened in the context of other people taking it a certain way, seeing it for what it is, for what their opinion was, which is fine. Everybody has an opinion. I mean,
But they need to look at everything at all different sides.
it's one of those things, But I mean, moving forward, let's not have any other frustrations or feelings. I don't want to. I would rather be able to have an open door to where I can come in here and have a conversation without feeling targeted or feeling frustrated or having any of those kind of feelings. I mean, because really, honestly, at the end of the day, it's all about the kids.
For sure.
That's what we're here for.
Sure, no question. So in the future, if you guys have a concern, certainly you're welcome to call Ms. Casanova in the front, and she has my calendar. She'll put you right into my calendar. We'll have a meeting. If it's urgent, obviously you can tell her that, and we'll go from there. I think it's fine to have a meeting in the teacher's room, but I think like Mrs. Thaxter shared, it's just there was some concern about how it went down, and so we just want to make sure that you guys feel like you have a place to be heard, but that maybe we have a little bit different process for that.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.